Hello everyone, and welcome to my solo RPG journal. Today, we are going to have a look at Chat GPT, which is a free way of getting into OpenGPT. Or there is some kind of payment plan which I haven't actually looked at yet, but you can sign up and get access for free. And so I want to have a look to see how to use it, because I'm sure it will be helpful, how to use it to play solo RPGs or to even just help you prepare for sessions when you're a GM. Now, you can have multiple conversations open. You can see that I tested it to see if you could get Superglue to come back. The answer is no. It gave me information and the reason for it, which is actually pretty cool. And I have run a test where we tried to start an RPG. So going through that, I told it what we were going to do, told it that we wanted to set a genre and asked it for ideas, and it suggested 4 popular genres for RPG games. I said science fiction, but we're not going to play space opera. We're going to play something more cyberpunk, but a little bit more underground and less sort of in-your-face 80s cyberpunk. Then asked me for a scenario, but instead I wanted to get it to build me a character. It suggested a character along the lines of what I suggested. I asked some questions about the character to get some more information. It gave me a slightly more detailed thing. Interestingly, it's gone from our character Ava Chang goes from sort of unknown scientist working on unknown technology in this sci-fi world, unknown secret technology, to artificial intelligence. We're working on artificial intelligence. I thought that was funny. I said, all right, well, we need something to go wrong. Basically, a game at its core is there is a problem, something happens. What do you do about it? What is this? What problem are you faced with that you will have some kind of action for? So she goes to work and something goes wrong. It really just tries to, it's probably more, well, ChatGPT is trained on all kinds of written text. A lot of it will be fiction. A lot of it will be people writing about things, movie reviews, things like that. But essentially, we're going to have stories, continuing stories. And so the difficulty I think we're going to find for solo RPGs, at least, is it's just going to keep going. So here it goes, there's a problem, and then here is her action, and this is the continuation. It just continues going for 3 paragraphs. And then I go, all right, well, that's progressing too quickly. Like the AI is already self-aware and attempting to communicate with her, and it's trying to get out into the internet. Heard that plot before, and you know, we've very quickly gone into sort of like a big problem. And if that's the kind of thing that you want for your overarching plot, then fine. But that's not, unless you're doing some kind of one-shot thing, that's not really a session 1 kind of thing. You've got to work up to your massive problem. You need to start small and then slowly reveal things to your players, slowly reveal things along the story as they come to that realization, as opposed to just going, oh, the big problem is that the AI has gone rogue. So, all right, that's progressing too quickly. And so, you know, the first sign of that would be this: people getting fired, new security measures, stuff happening around the character that the character could then interact with. And then it's like, okay, so what if everyone gets called into a meeting? What's discussed? And it continues on with that story. So, yeah, it does pretty well at what we're trying to do, except it talks too much about the character, whereas like that stuff is very much what are you doing as a player. But it gives a good foundation for ideas and things. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to start a new chat and go through the process again and talk about what's happening and why it's happening, and try and work out how to best work with the AI to either write your story as you're doing your solo game or come up with ideas to use with your players as a GM. So The first thing to do is tell ChatGPT what we're going to do. So ChatGPT is a language model that predicts the next word in the sequence. It looks at the current sequence, and I'm assuming it's doing this in like looking at a chat log and going, okay, well the next word should be. It's then trying to predict the next word should be this, in response to the previous word being this. And then I guess if it's looking at it as a chat in response to the other person saying this. So it's likely to come up with errors. I mean, obvious ones are if you watch people playing chess with it, where it knows how to reply to chess moves, it knows about some of the things that people might say, but you'll watch people playing chess with it and it starts off looking okay and then very quickly goes downhill as it doesn't actually know what the state of the board is. It doesn't know where things are. It doesn't remember the whole thing, but it has some ideas, like it knows that you said this and I've said this and you've said this and I've said this. So therefore, it's likely that I would say this next. So when we say we're going to play a game, we're going to let's play. I want to play a solo RPG. And first I need a setting, a genre and setting. Do you have any ideas? So seeing that question, it's going to predict word by word. Here are some things. And we're seeing some very similar responses. We're getting more detail this time. The previous time I did this, it told me 4 fantasy, science fiction, post-apocalyptic, and horror. Whereas this time we've got fantasy, post-apocalyptic, cyberpunk, horror, superheroes, and space opera. Now, I'm going to do one of these with a traveler game very shortly. So we're going to leave space opera off. Cyberpunk, I did start a cyberpunk series. Fantasy might be the way to go. Cool. Let's go with fantasy. Let's make it low fantasy. So instead of wizards running around casting fireballs, let's have magic be quiet, subtle, and have consequences. Now, where shall we set this game? So let's generate a setting. Yeah, low fantasy setting can be more grounded and immersive experience, as the magic is more mysterious and less omnipotent. As the setting, here are a few options. Medieval style kingdom, classic fantasy setting, complete with knights, castles, and feudal politics. Play a peasant, a rogue, a noble, or a member of the king's court, and your adventures could take you across the kingdom to fight bandits, uncover political conspiracies, or even slay a dragon. We could set it in a sprawling city. Imagine a city like Venice, but with magic. The canals are enchanted to clean themselves, the streetlights are powered by magical energy, and the criminal underworld is ruled by powerful sorcerers. You could play as a detective, a thief, a mage, or a member of the city guard, and your adventures could involve investigating crimes, stealing magical artifacts, and thwarting dark rituals. Or we can play in a dark forest. This setting is perfect for a more atmospheric and mysterious game. You could play as a druid, a ranger, a traveler lost in the woods, or a member of a secluded village in harmony with nature. Your adventures could involve unraveling the secrets of the forest, protecting the village from dark forces or seeking out powerful magical relics hidden within the trees. These are just a few ideas, but there are many other possibilities. Ultimately, the best setting is the one that interests you and inspires your imagination. I really like all of these. This is pretty generic, but I do like this style of story. You can set up a sort of a town or something, or little hierarchy and play in that, or you can just go for broke and see what happens to your character. This is a really interesting idea, and something I think I do want to explore, but I don't know that I'll explore it here. I had another idea for potential live streams, so maybe we will look at doing that. Dark Forest could also be fun. So I think at the moment we are just trying to test this out and work out how this works. I think we'll go with a medieval style kingdom. And let's set up a medieval style kingdom. What is currently happening in this kingdom? Yeah, I'm not spelling these things right. My spelling is atrocious at the best of times. All right, we'll set the game in a medieval-style kingdom. Here are a few potential events that could be happening in the kingdom. The kingdom is on the brink of war. Tensions are high between neighboring kingdoms, and a full-scale war seems imminent. Your character could be a soldier or a mercenary, hired to fight for their kingdom, or a diplomat. Tasked with negotiating peace. A plague is spreading. A mysterious illness is sweeping across the kingdom, killing peasants and nobles alike. Your character could be a healer trying to find a cure, or a member of the king's court trying to contain the outbreak and prevent panic. You just tell everyone it's over, right? And then it's fine. Obviously, we need to get those businesses going. The king has died. The beloved king of the kingdom has passed away, leaving behind a power vacuum and a contested succession. Your character could be a noble vying for the throne, a member of the royal family trying to maintain stability, or a commoner caught up in the political turmoil. This is an interesting idea for like an RPG, and I'd be really interested to see this played at a table, particularly if every character had some claim to the throne and was all involved in succession. You'd need a role-play heavy PvP group. That could be very, very interesting. A rebellion is brewing. The kingdom is beset by economic hardship, corruption, and injustice. A group of rebels has risen up to overthrow the ruling class. Your character could be a member of the rebellion trying to bring down the monarchy, or a member of the ruling class trying to maintain order and protect their power. Let's ask it. Now, I've got this regenerate responses button, which I think it just tries again from my last question. But I'm going to ask it, do you have any other ideas? Because I want it to generate different things to what it already has. So we've got a dangerous cult. A kingdom is suffering from famine. And a powerful artifact being discovered. And a dark force is threatening the kingdom. These are all very generic. Maybe I've picked the super generic line here as opposed to going down one of the more interesting routes. So we're going to come back up to these first ideas, I think. And we're going to take 1 and 4. I think we'll go with the country being at the brink of war. Not quite there yet. But tensions are high. On top of that, the king is sick, old and sick. The first prince is also very sick, and there are 2 political factions behind the second and third prince. So, how will it reply to this one? Sounds like an exciting setup. With the kingdom at the brink of war and the royal succession uncertain, there's no shortage of potential conflict and intrigue. Here are a few more details to help flesh out the situation. The kingdom is a relatively small one, with few natural resources and limited military power. It's located in a strategic position between 2 larger, more powerful kingdoms, both of whom are eyeing it hungrily. The king is an old and respected figure, but he has been ailing for some time. His health is rapidly deteriorating. His eldest son, the first prince, is also sick and may not survive much longer. This has created power vacuum and intense political maneuvering. The factions loyal to the second and third princes vie for influence and control. Yep. The second prince is seen as more pragmatic and ruthless of the 2, willing to make alliances with neighboring kingdoms and make deals with unsavory characters to secure the throne. The third prince is seen as more idealistic and honorable, but less experienced and well-connected. The tension between the factions has led to a breakdown in communication and cooperation between various arms of the kingdom's government, including military, the clergy, and the nobility. Some fear that this disunity will leave the kingdom vulnerable to attack from without or collapse from within. At the same time, there are rumors of dark forces gathering on the borders of the kingdom, seeking to take advantage of its weakened state and seize power for themselves. Some believe that these are agents of the neighboring kingdoms seeking to create chaos and sow discord, while others believe that they are part of a larger and more sinister plot. This setup provides a lot of potential for adventure as your character navigates the complex political landscape, works to prevent war. Yeah, I like all of these except for potential dark forces, I think. And that's because I don't know what is happening with magic and religion, all of those things. So I'm going to tell it that so that it knows to keep those. I like all of those points except potentially the last one. The issue is that for rumors of dark forces, we need to have an idea of how magic and religion work in the setting. So let's look at those now and come back to this point. Those now. Since this is a low fantasy setting, so it's remembered that magic should be relatively rare and subtle, with significant consequences for its use. Here are potential ideas for how magic works in the kingdom. Magic is a gift from the gods. Magic is dangerous and unpredictable force. Magic is a form of blood sacrifice. Magic is a forbidden art. Okay, so those are all. And it's gone straight up and done religion as well in the same style. So, yep, these are, some generic things. I've always liked blood sacrifice and forbidden art. I think they work well in particular scenarios, depending on what happens with some of this other stuff. In terms of religion, since this is a medieval style kingdom, we can assume that the dominant religion is from a form of monotheism with the worship of a single deity. Now, this is, because everything tends to stem from Catholicism, Christianity, Abrahamic religions. Is that what they're called? Abrahamic religions? I'm trying to think of what the word is for the root of all of those things. I think it might be Abrahamic religions, because that became very dominant in Europe, and so it became sort of the driving force behind a lot of these medieval style fantasies. So if we wanted to do something different, we could just tell it that. But I do want to move this along, because the point of the video is to get an idea of how putting this stuff together works. So we're going to stick with this idea and just change some of the particulars. I think we'll drop the bottom one. The religion has a rich and complex mythology, complex hierarchy of bishops, priests, and other officials, each with their own duties and responsibilities. The religion is focused on the idea of sin and redemption, with a strong emphasis on personal morality and good works. Those who are deemed to have strayed from the path of righteousness may be subject to punishment or excommunication. The head of the church is often seen as a powerful figure with the ability to influence the actions of the king and nobility. Does the religion span each of the different countries, or are there variances? I think because I've suggested, it's just going to agree with it. But it's actually going down. There may be differences in local customs, rituals, and interpretations of religious doctrine. So it's suggesting that everyone follows the same religion, but it's a little bit different in country A and country B. Alternatively, the neighboring kingdoms might practice entirely different religions, so it's gone with two different ideas. Let's just focus on the starting country, as the others can be fleshed out later, even though that's something that I suggested that we look at. Now I'm saying let's not look at that. What does the church think of magic? So the church's attitude towards magic is crucial. So here, some ideas is that it's a dangerous, forbidden art. The church acknowledges the existence of magic, but rewards it as a gift from the divine, regards it as a gift from the divine. The church recognizes the power of magic, but regards it as a neutral force that can be used for good or ill. I think that magic, that the church regards magic as a God-given gift. Magic is rare, so instead of it venerating magicians, giving them ability to become nobles or rise through the ranks of the church, magic is rare, and not actually tied to people who don't understand it. So we'll go with that. Okay, so it's suggesting that magic is a gift, and I think that we're going to say that it's only given to a select few who have proven themselves worthy. I'm going to say that this is only the view of the church, and so a political statement. The reality is that people don't understand magic, and having used it once in a given situation doesn't guarantee them the ability to use it again. Let's go with magic being completely not understood by humans. While the church thinks that miracles are magic signs from God that venerate the people that wield them. This is a misunderstanding and more of a political view, as one who has used magic once in a circumstance may never get to use it again, as they don't really understand the circumstance that led to their initial ability. This also means that people that the church suspects can wield magic or have any semblance of understanding of it get hunted in secret. The church either tries to manipulate and control them, and if it can't do that, it seeks to silence them. So that's sort of an interesting take on magic to use for this setting. See what it says to that. In this version, magic is completely mysterious and an unpredictable force. Yeah, so it sort of reiterated what I've just said. Brilliant. Let's go with that. Given these things, let's work out where our game starts. We will start in the capital city. Where is this city? What is there? What is remarkable about it? And what is important? Let's get some ideas for this. So the city is located on the banks of a large river that serves as an important trade route between the coast and the interior of the kingdom. The city is surrounded by thick stone walls, which has kept it safe from invaders for centuries. The city itself is sprawling and bustling with narrow, winding streets and tall buildings packed tightly together. There are a variety of different neighborhoods and districts, each with its own unique character and culture. Some areas are filled with lavish mansions and ornate cathedrals, while others are filled with crowded tenements and bustling marketplaces. One of the most remarkable features of the city is a massive cathedral which dominates the skyline. The cathedral is sprawling, Gothic style structure with towering spires and intricate stonework. It serves as the center of the religious life in the kingdom and is the site of many important ceremonies and rituals. The city is also home to the royal palace, a sprawling complex of buildings that houses the king and his court. The palace is heavily guarded, and access is restricted only to the most trusted advisors and courtiers. Despite its grandeur and importance, the city is also a place of simmering tension and conflict. The king is old and sickly. The church wields enormous. Yep. What industry do we have? Important hub for trade and commerce, thanks to its location on the river. It has a bustling port district. The city has a thriving artisanal industry with skilled craftsmen and artisans. Cool. Has a strong agricultural sector. Okay. So the city's surrounded by... yeah, let's go with all of this and say brilliant. Let's make a character. Who shall our story follow? The fun thing with a free one is that you do have to wait for everyone else that's paying. You do not have priority, so it can take a bit. Oh, yes, the character should have a reason to be involved in the political intrigue and potential conflict. So a nobleman who has been sent to the capital by his family to represent their interests in court. The black sheep of the family, black sheep of a powerful and wealthy family, more interested in venture and exploration than the politics and machinations of court. But his family still expects him to use his charm, wit, and intelligence to further gain. He has a secret. He possesses a natural talent for magic. So this is actually really cool. The AI has taken all of the things that we have talked about so far and is threading them into our character. Because we've talked about these things being important for the setting, our character has some ability for it. And, you know, here we go. It's talking about how we're going to be involved in political intrigue and drama, but we don't know what that is yet. So it's leaving those details blank. But because it knows magic is an issue, he's keeping it a secret because, you know, he actually has some understanding of it, and that will get him interested, get the church interested in him. At which point they will want to either have him under thumb or disappear him. So, what political I think that works for the most part. So just affirming that we're okay with the details for the moment. But what political faction is he involved with, and what do they stand for? Let's say our character is aligned with the faction supporting the second prince, who is seen as the more progressive and open-minded than his older brother, the first prince. So this hasn't worked. So it's lost the plot here. The third prince, I believe, was the more progressive and open-minded one, but he was more progressive and and open-minded than his older brother, the second prince. So it's making a bit of a mistake there, but we can correct it with that about that in a minute. The faction believes in expanding the trade and commerce, promoting the arts and sciences, and maintaining a strong military for defense against external threats. They are more tolerant of magic than those who possess it, seeing it as natural. However, this faction is opposed by a more conservative group that supports a third prince. Okay. Who is seen as more traditional and isolationist. This was the second prince, I'm pretty sure. If we scroll up, the second prince is seen as the more pragmatic and ruthless of the two. The third prince is seen as idealistic and honorable. Yeah, so it's swapped them around. But otherwise, it's keeping sort of the ideas together, which, again, all the model is doing is predicting the next word, right? So all of these ideas are pretty generic and things that have been seen before and make sense to go together. It's not like we've got any radical creativity in here. It's all just, these are things that have happened before. This group believes in maintaining strict control over trade and industry, promoting the church and its teachings above all else, and purging the kingdom of any perceived threats. So we can just swap the princes around or whatever. But those are the two factions. The character's family is officially neutral in the court, and they have a number of business interests that align with them, align them with the second prince's faction. The character's been sent to court to represent the family interests, but he has also seen this. What does the family do? I think that... So, I'm going to say that politically, there's no one has any opinion on magic. No one has any opinion on magic. They don't want to step on the church's feet. But a faction that is all about commerce would be behind magic as a resource in theory. The faction yep, I think this works. What is it that the character's family does? So it's just sort of affirming what I'm doing, but the conservative faction is more suspicious and intolerant of it behind closed doors, which is sort of the opposite position for what I've written for the other faction. So that makes sense. Characters' family. They are merchants and traders dealing in luxury goods such as silk, spices, and precious stones. They have a number of trading partners across the kingdom and are seen as wealthy and influential, but also somewhat opportunistic and unscrupulous in their dealings. Our character has been sent to court to represent the family interests, negotiate deals. I think that the family also have to be involved in imports and maybe exports if they are going to trade in goods that valuable in a small kingdom. I don't think that they can source them locally. So let's see what it says about that. And see if it remembers the war setting. I wonder if it's taking longer now because it's having to process the entire document. Yep. We've got that works. That makes sense. If we're importing exotic goods and selling them off, and we export wool, timber, and metals to our trading partners. How does this place them in that the kingdom may be going to war? So, looming threat of war creates challenges and opportunities for the character's family. On the one hand, if the kingdom does go to war, trade routes could be disrupted, making it more difficult to import and export goods. The demand for luxury goods may also decrease as people's priorities shift towards more basic necessities. This could result in a loss of profits and market share. On the other hand, war also presents new. Yeah. All right. We're going to be arms dealers. The family is also able to navigate the political landscape and establish good relationships with the right factions. They could potentially influence the outcome of the war. Turning the character's family into its own sort of power faction there. Okay. What are the immediate issues for the character in coming to the capital? So, what are the issues that they're going to face immediately? Accommodation. Where are they staying? Business arrangements, political connections, personal safety, family matters. So, this all sort of works in together, especially if they're a noble. So, this is actually a really good starting point for our story and for our character. So, let's get a name. What is our character's name? Who are they? What do they look like? And what kind of person are they? Our character's name is Erindor, a young man in his early 20s. He has an athletic build, standing at 6 feet tall, with short dark hair and sharp blue eyes that give him a piercing gaze. He carries himself with confidence, and his face shows signs of determination and ambition. Erindor comes from a wealthy family and has always had access to the best education and training. He is well educated and skilled in business and trade, having grown up in a household where he was exposed to the inner workings of commerce from an early age. He is driven by a desire to succeed and to expand his family business interests. He is also compassionate and empathetic towards those in need. Erindor is a strategic thinker and a natural leader, but he also values the input of others and is willing to listen and collaborate in order to achieve success. I think that this is probably a good place to leave this. I like where we've gotten to so far, and everything we've done so far has been generating a character and generating a world and a story that we can work our way into. So in the next video, we will actually look at trying to play a game, try to use it as a solo RPG, as a tool to play a solo RPG, as opposed to just generating the story around it. So I think this has been pretty interesting. I think I've learnt a lot here, and it definitely would be a good tool for helping to build a world or come up with scenarios to challenge players with as a GM. So, or just generally a writing tool. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.